G'day, Rob, and congratulations on such a fantastic film.
Thank you, Nick. And Nick? Is it working?
You got it right. Yeah, that's it.
Separated you?
We truly loved this. It was so great. So, I mean, and Nick and I are just such big fans that we just not worthy of
please,
Mr. Sitch.
please, up.
But thank you so much.
You're confusing me with Kate Blanchett. Up.
Seriously, is there anything else that you don't do? I mean, you started your career, I believe, delivering babies.
Yeah, I did a full medical degree and some internships, much to the chagrin of a lot of the people of Victoria. And then, but along the way, I'd done comedy, and so at the end of getting my full registration, I went, I'll just go back for one more year with my friends, and we did a radio show, and I never returned. They didn't chase me, which was interesting. I take that as an insult.
But now you've significantly contributed to the Australian landscape of television and of film.
Just to our culture in itself.
It wasn't by design, because when we did The Castle, we really did not have much money, and that was back in the days when you didn't have digital SLRs, and you actually had to put film through a camera. And so we were going, well, we cannot move the camera, that's expensive, so we have to shoot a film from a teenager's point of view. So they only see things in, my dad is good, I live here. And so we used that as a bit of a trick, but there was still the phrase straight to video hanging over you. No such thing as video now. And so we weren't sure whether it would ever be released. We were just trying. It was like a form of a short film. We just wanted to get noticed.
Well, I believe that there was a choice between shooting it over like 14 days or 11, depending on good catering, and we'll shoot it over a short period of time. Or
it's funny to say this now. It was because there seems to be a fully plumbed gudger machine in every building, but we got a full coffee making gudger and turned the work experience kid into a barista and had really good coffee on it, and everyone was going, this is great, isn't it amazing? And we mental note, good coffee makes good films.
Well, see, if you didn't have if there was no plan, there's been no design, what's been the philosophy? What's made all your stuff work so well?
Okay,
from Frontline?
The Castle was really, we said right off the bat, we've got to try and make it as funny as we can first, and so we would try. And so when we first showed the film, we were going, in a scene where we tried to put in 10 jokes, people would laugh 3 times, and we were just suicidal. We were going, oh, you're kidding me, that's just a failure and all this, and we'd lost perspective, because the whole aim was to pack it with as many
real fast
bits of mischief and silliness.
Well, even down to the the kickboxing bloke on top of the cake.
All of that. We were just going for everything. Funnily enough, some of the phrases that are in there that have sort of become well known since, that were completely ignored originally. There's a funny aging that goes on, and that I loved when we were writing it, and no one ever brought it up. And then like 5 years later, people start to come to you with little phrases. You go, oh, you noticed that now? That's interesting. And we always loved it. I got silly mistakes I made. I was driving into Tullamarine Airport one day, and I said, smell that? Avgas. And the person I was with just started laughing, and I was sincere, because that smelled like travel to me. But so we turned that into 2 strokes. Smell that, because to Daryl it was 2-stroke meant leisure. Yeah.
2-stroke on football.
Whereas to us it means noisiness.
Yeah. And now it's just iconic Aussie gold. So.
Well, and the funny thing is, I got it wrong. It's not Avgas, it's Avter. Don't get something wrong with aviation, people.
Yeah.
They'll come and crucify you. But look, Rob, can you tell us about any questions for Ben?
Right, so we thought, with the third movie, we were determined to do something, hyper contemporary. So right now, of its time, and we had no taste for nostalgia. And we'd made the observation that, being in your 20s now is so different to when we were in our 20s. The choice had not tripled, it quadrupled and tripled. So you could go anywhere in the world, change jobs. Everyone was mobile. There was a lot of prosperity, and education went on for longer. No one even thought about getting married until they were in their 30s and having kids into their 30s. And so it was a genuine change from 30 years ago. And we said, and it sort of had an excitement to it.
The lifestyle.
Really, I'm all for it. If I had a time machine, I'd be there. And so we were spending a lot of time with young comics on Thank God You're Here, and we were comparing it and having a lot of fun. And Josh would be in different parts of the world and come back, and he'd fill us in on all the stories. And we just thought it was a great setting to set some dilemmas.
Yeah.
And then the idea we realised is that, well, every dilemma's waiting for you. And if you delay it, the more you delay it, the more it throws you when it happens.
The more intense it becomes.
I think so.
Yeah. And given the success of your previous films, was it still tough to get funding for this one? Or?
I think it's always a battle. I really decided I'm going to shut myself out of it, and I said, look, you tell me how many weeks I've got. Don't, because I knew we were going to use a lot of extras. And by extras, I mean hundreds. Yeah. So, because the film has to look like that buzzy. So it was
many locations as well.
It was a curious thing. So if I could go in and film the night before, the place is full. I don't have to pay for anyone. So the next night I have to empty the restaurant, hire everyone, restock the restaurant. And so I knew I had to do that. So that was hundreds and hundreds of extras. I said, shooting at that rate with that amount of complications, just tell me how many weeks and then don't tell me anything else.
Yeah.
So what is it about Australia that you love or loathe? You hear a lot of people say, I just want to tell universal stories. They just kind of work everywhere, which is great. But someone that actually tells Australian stories, it celebrates what we've got and even contributes to our culture, of portraying it and contributing to it.
I think that comedy you can't get away with too much. You can't go, I'm going to tell a universal Australian-y, Japanese-y type story. Comedy tells you what story to tell.
Yeah.
It's either funny or it's not, or it's amusing or it's not, or it's interesting or it's not. But I do think that there is I think that laconic, smart-arsey thread that goes through Aussies makes for you get the habit of turning things into comedy. There's a lot of gallows humour in Australians, I think, and so we just sort of naturally would see a scene and go, that's a funny scene. Now, in the end, it ends up being in an Australian city with an Australian cast, and so I guess it feels Australian, but I probably, if we were living somewhere else, we'd make the same observations about Stockholm or something like that.
In a nutshell, do you think this is the start of something, with things like A Few Best Men and now great films like Any Questions for Ben? Are we seeing the rise
generation of Aussie comedy?
I'd love to. I do love something contemporary. But, at the same time, when I saw Crocodile Dundee 25 years ago, I go, what's this kakadu? It felt like, no one had ever presented that to us.
Yeah.
So I think you just got to be a little bit fresh. I think and then you can do that anywhere, as long as it feels fresh to you, at least. It'll feel fresh to someone else.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you very much.